So this is gonna be for a very specific collective. I've been getting kind of some like downloads and whatnot over the past few weeks about this specific reading, and there are a few highlights that I want to touch on before I get into the cards. I pre-shuffled these. I didn't see them yet. I do that because it takes me a while to do it, and I figure rather than having to watch me do it, I'll get that out of the way. But, so one thing that was really coming through, I was seeing that it's like there's certain manifestations that are coming in. This is like just a quick sketch. It's not very good at all. But basically to show you kind of some of what I was seeing, basically I was seeing it's kind of like there's something about returning to our natural state, like getting back to our roots in some kind of way, like embracing certain, like the natural side of things after, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But like it's something about going from like this cosmic focus to a more grounded, earthly kind of thing. So basically with the chakras, this is what I was seeing. So, you know, you have the crown, you have the third eye, the throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and the root, right? So what I was seeing is that this collective in the past, however long, recently, but for an extended period of time, there's been like a excess amount of energy in these higher chakras, in this third eye and in the crown. And a lot of this has to do with the path that you've been walking. There's probably been some sort of major spiritual awakening. I was getting like very dark night of the soul vibes. So there's been like an excess amount of energy up here, and it kind of that's like the energy went up, right? There's been this spiritual awakening, this focus on the non-physical aspects of life, on the mind, and a lot about like manifestation, a spiritual awakening, a path, you know, like that, whatever. And that's been kind of depleting the energy from these lower energy centers. You may have had physical or different symptoms, right? When we have an excess amount of energy up here in these higher spaces, specifically the third eye, it can lead to a plethora of different things. One being like anxiety, specifically, overthinking, getting lost in the thoughts, that kind of thing. A lot of like mental illness kind of manifestations can happen there when there's an excess amount of energy up here in the head, right? And also, what also makes that more difficult is that this root chakra here, where we are supposed to be focused on grounding and focusing on the physical reality, there's a depletion there because all that energy got sent up here. Is kind of that rise of that kundalini energy that sits at the base. It, you know, goes upward, and then we kind of spend our time trying to get these things back into alignment, back into balance. But there's a period of time there where that energy is open up here and closed off down here, or, you know, there's just an imbalance going on. You're out of alignment, all this stuff. You're opening your crown, that connection to the divine, and being able to receive from the divine. There's that connection, that relationship that's formed there. So anyway, there's this excess of energy that's been up here, but I'm actually seeing that we're now entering a phase, or like the next level on the path, the next journey on the path, where this balance is coming in and we're bringing things back down. There's like a newfound grounding, again, getting back to our roots, just connecting more with like the physical aspects of life, the physical body. Even when you're up in your head, you're disconnected from the body, but we carry this newfound awakening that we had while all this energy was up here down back into our experiences. And so what I was getting with this is that during this time, you got to know the mind better and spirit better, and with that, I'm getting with this overactive mind, there's been a lot of ideas, a lot of again, with that overactive, overthinking, you know, and that can go one of two ways. We can kind of have great ideas and like, oh, like all these like desires to pursue different things, these visions, these, you know, things that we want to manifest, right? For our best and highest good. But then on the other extreme, that overactive energy there can lead to overthinking, anxiety, catastrophic thinking, even just like looping in the brain. And again, I see that as kind of starting to balance out. You've been having a lot of ideas. You've been envisioning different things for yourself, different potential manifestations that you want for yourself, right? And what I'm getting is that because of this connection that you have with the divine, and because you want these things to be spiritually protected, spiritually guided, and spiritually led by the divine, by God, by your spirit guides, by your ancestors, whatever it is that you kind of like have that perception on that whole topic. What I'm seeing is that all of this is happening here. There's like so many ideas, like we could do this and 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 all these different potential pathways, right? And what I'm getting is that the divine up here through the crown is going to help to facilitate, and I'm getting like filter out. There's like a filtering that's going to happen where only the things, and you have to make it a practice, I think, to kind of pray that the things that you are bringing forth are divinely protected and part of your like blueprint, or like where your spirit guides are supportive of you, because they know, right? God, your spirit guides, whatever, knows more than we do. There's like, we have that connection here. We have the ability to give and receive and have that connection with the divine in some sort of way. But still, there's a whole realm up here. There's this higher perspective that they can look down and like see from this higher perspective of really like what's going on. And God and the divine, whatever, can kind of see what's in our best interest before we can. So, like, because sometimes our desires and the things we think we want aren't actually going to end up being what is best for us, right? And that's why that connection is important. So I'm seeing that connection, and it's going to filter out, like, whatever ideas or whatever is protected and guided by the divine, because not all of them are, especially those ones that are just anxiety. The divine doesn't want us anxious or pursuing paths that are going to lead us into bad things, right? I mean, that's not to say that everything's going to be easy and wonderful and amazing every second of every day and, like, whatever. There's still lessons that we may have to learn. But the thing is that this collective specifically has gone through that dark night of the soul to some extent, or has had the spiritual awakening, or has done, like, a bulk of that healing work, right? And so I'm seeing that things are actually going to be getting better, especially because you've been developing this connection, you have been, having this spiritual awakening, and that's going to be experienced more and more into your reality. So spirit is going to filter out these different visions or ideas or, pursuits that you may have or thoughts that you may want to bring into reality and filter through, and it's going to bring it all the way back down to this root where it can ground. We have the roots here. Ground into your physical reality. It's no longer just a thought, an idea, a vision. It's not just something that you're having hope for, that the divine has like given you hope for, right? It's being brought down. There's something here about things manifesting down into the reality. And so I guess that's really the imagery that I wanted to show you. It's kind of messy now. I wasn't planning on getting that kind of messy with it. But that's the basic thing I wanted to show you. This overactive energy, and then the divine filtering down, things being brought into your physical reality. And obviously this is going to affect these other chakras, but You know, that's where alignment comes in and continuing to do the work and kind of I'm getting that, like, an emphasis on paying attention to your body and the sensations in your body that might lead you to a deeper understanding of which chakra is kind of being highlighted, or there might be a blockage or something there. Okay, I'm not really getting into the cards quite yet, but I do want to share. There was something. Oh, I kept getting the name Loretta. I don't know a Loretta. So that may or may not be significant to someone. That might just be a synchronicity. It could be, I was getting like spirit guide energy, like I don't know. Or there was also something about, there's something about sound really coming through here, because typically when I cleanse before reading or whatever, after reading, I use smoke. And I've been feeling led to use sound healing, which I typically don't do. And there's something coming through about sound, and I think I'm going to touch on that later in the reading. But I did want to mention that. You know, maybe, sorry. Maybe, like, that's a way that, like, spirit connects to you, is through, like, music, right? You receive spiritual messages or realizations or whatever, like, through music. Maybe that's a way that your guides try to communicate with you, or maybe you have some sort of, like, clairaudience that you're starting to develop or not pursue, but, like, develop or, like, hone or realize. So let's just start with these cards. Now, I am seeing here a lot of pain, a lot of pain. So we have, you know, the bleeding hearts here. We have the Three of Swords. There's a lot of pain here. You have been through an incredibly painful experience. Whether this has been like a recent experience or maybe an experience from like a long time ago, that throughout this spiritual journey you have been trying to heal that pain, like you've just been carrying it for a long time. But either way, this was, it like defeated you in some sort of way, like yeah, like it just completely crushed you. I feel like this is like to do with another, whether that's like romantic or not. Like there's something here about another person inflicting this pain in some sort of way, or like a circumstance that kind of, there's pain here. There's like backstabbing, betrayal, just like a heartache all around. And I'm actually getting that whatever this is, possibly like whoever this is, there's like something here around you not being able to be yourself. Like you not being able to show up as you fully. You've been asked to, like, because I'm seeing these cards here, right? I'm seeing correlations. So there's this, I pray for the removal of shame, and I think whenever I get the prayer cards that come through with this deck, I always see it as something that you're, like, struggling with. Like, you need to pray about it because it's something that you're struggling to do on your own. You need that divine help in the situation. And I think that whatever this situation is, that kind of, there's heartache here, there's pain, there's betrayal, there's backstabbing, there's like a lot of things here. It's that same situation that kind of, I'm getting like shut down, like it shut you down. You were being shut down. There's something like, because of the color coordination here, it's like you, the shame and this shame around being yourself in some sort of way, like you weren't able to show up as yourself. You weren't able to flow in some sort of way. I'm getting a lot of like expressing yourself in a certain way. You were asked to, maybe not like physically asked, but like energetically, you wanted to flow and you wanted to be free flowing, but this energy forces you to like freeze, like cold as ice. Like it froze you and like the core of who you are and the truth of who you are, and like it put you in this space of feeling shameful for being yourself in some sort of way, or expressing yourself in some sort of way. That's coming through with the blue here. Yeah, so whatever, like, I'm getting that there may have been like a situation, right? This kind of is giving me possibly like a third party situation if this is like romantic, or just pain, right? Whatever. There's this very real like pain and circumstance, and then there's this energetic, like, lingering almost in the background alongside it, like just this feeling kind of frozen, feeling kind of trapped, feeling like you're being shamed and you can't fully show up as yourself. And I think that there's been like a clouding of your vision almost. Yeah, like you weren't able to show up as yourself because you weren't able to see your true self because there was some kind of mental distortion. There's something like blocking you or preventing you from seeing yourself and seeing yourself fully, and being seen fully, and seeing this situation like for what it is and in its fullness. This is some sort of a relationship. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It is safe to surrender to the good feelings. The lover, Aphrodite, passion, and abundance. Find those who inspire you to bloom, grow together, community, connection, reciprocation. So there's something about another person or other people here. And Spirit is guiding you towards, I'm getting like heavy soul tribe vibes. Possibly like a new romantic connection. But with this, I'm getting, if it is romantic, this whole situation over here, it's like you're so used to like the bad feelings that like you have associated with love in general. Again, doesn't have to be romantic, because there's love within community, right? And there's love within romance. But it's like something really tainted your view of love, or tainted like what you believe love to be, or like limited, like if you are thinking that love is just something that is experienced in relationship, like romantic relationship. It's like there's a whole realm here of like community-based love that you're being like asked to lean into a little bit more. Because I'm thinking that within this community love, that's where you're gonna find more of these good feelings. I do feel like it's possible that there's like romance involved with this like pain, and that's why it's coming through so intensely. And Spirit wants to show you love in a new way. Like, and like that might not really register in your brain because you've always associated love as like something limited. But God, the divine, wants to show you how limitless love can be. I'm getting that there might be like a clearing out. There's like a cleansing that's happening, I think, in your spirit, in your energy, but even in your relationships, or yeah, relationships are coming through heavy in this reading. And again, it doesn't have to be romantic, just relationships with other people in general. We have, I am fully grounded and connected to my physical reality. I think that with this bog fog here, like that inability to like see clearly, that inability to like, there's just something there that like you couldn't really fully connect to your physical reality. I don't think there was too much like pain here. I'm getting that like you, again, back to like the beginning where I did the drawing. I think that you, like, all that energy up in your headspace, like, has a hard time grounding into your reality or even into your body, because there's pain there. And it's like you don't want to be in your body because you feel pain. But it's like, it's a byproduct of the emotional pain that's kind of playing in the background, I think. So with this, I think that with this clearing out, there's like a new ability to connect to your physical reality, and that's actually, oh, okay. I'm getting that. Like, there are, I don't want to use the word toxic, I really don't. There's just certain relationships, possibly, double reverse, okay, hold on. With that, the picture that I did in the beginning, that kind of bringing down your manifestations into physical reality, the things that are best for you and that the divine sees as best for you, and that you truly, like, can envision and want to bring forth into your reality, that these relationships or whatever, this, like, I'm getting, like, entanglement, like, I'm seeing this as, like, entangled, like, vines or something. It's like, you aren't able, because you're not able to be grounded, because you're being stuck up in your head, because there's all this pain here, and, like, it's, you're not able to, like, tap into that root chakra and ground things down and fully manifest things into your reality. Once these energies are detached from you in some sort of way, then the energy distortion isn't going to be there, and things are going to manifest much easier for you. This has been a blockage or some sort of hindrance, whatever this is, to your ability to manifest what you truly desire. I'm not saying to do anything, like, drastic, okay? I need to be clear. I'm saying energetically, this is what I'm seeing, okay? I am seeing, this can indicate, like, a lack of communication or a lack of, like, movement or a lack of, I'm hearing, like, connection. Lack of communication. And another fog card. That's been, like, you can't get clarity on something, it almost feels like. But, like, things are clearing out. Yeah, things are clearing out. I'm seeing, like, with these cards, like, a very foggy, yeah, just like a very foggy scene, and it's like it's starting to lift, and you're starting to be able to see clearly, but there is, like, pain here that, like, you don't want to see, that you don't want to sit with. But there's some sort of chain that's, like, being broken here. I'm getting that, like, the devil can't reach you anymore. Like, the things that used to work, the things, the toxic, like, because I try not to, like, always perceive things like this, because I don't want to, like, make people paranoid. You know, by talking about, like, negative entities and energies and stuff, but just for the sake of the reading, it's like, you have been battling some sort of spiritual warfare. And I'm getting that the things that the enemy or these negative entities or the dark, like, forces, like, the things that have worked in the past that, like, the enemy has tried to throw at you, like, they don't work anymore because you're getting this newfound clarity. And because I'm getting, actually, that, like, because you have support, because you have some sort of community that is spiritually led, there's, like, yeah, like, that, there were heavily blocked connections intentionally, and Spirit is now bringing forth those communities, bringing forth those soul connections and soul tribe. Again, I keep getting that, like, because you've fought all that you can on your own and you did a good job, right? now it's like joining forces and becoming even more powerful is almost what I'm getting. Where like, all right, what are you gonna do now? Like, I'm seeing the situation clearly, and I have support. So, like, you know, it's kind of just, yeah, like overpowering these dark forces that may have like had you for a while, or may have been having an influence on you, or been able to get you to. There's a lot of healing that has happened here. I'm also getting like there's some sort of abundance here. I'm also yeah, this could also be like relating to like this community, right? It's like community, like realizing, how do I describe this? Like, I'm almost seeing this card as like, for a while you were like zoomed in, right? I don't know if you can see this card. It's like you were zoomed in and like you couldn't see like all that you are connected to in spirit, right? All the other people that like know what you're talking about or like are also on the same path as you, that you're connected to in spirit, in the soul tribe, right? You are connected. But you, for a long time, were on the journey by yourself. And it was a difficult journey, but like now there's this newfound connection. And I'm getting that this actually is going, there's abundance here. Abundant, like, I don't know if it's material, like physical, financial abundance, potentially. There might be like collaboration type things going on here. But even just like energetically, there's like an abundance coming through here. An abundance of good things coming through. There's like a karmic, what is that called? A karmic reward for the path that you've been walking, where before it was like an abundance of burden, an abundance of like hardship and pain. You're going to be receiving an abundance of like the blessings. And you're definitely, again, like there's some sort of like boundary, energetic boundary or chain or like entrapment or like feeling like you are breaking out of it. And it's coming, all that power is coming from within. And this actually relates back to those chakras that I talked about in the beginning. You were like stuck in these bricks, right? And you found that power within, and you're melting down the barriers that have been keeping you, I'm hearing like imprisoned again with this devil card. Like you did it. You did that. And rather than like, I think before, because you hadn't found that light within you fully, or your power, or your ability to do so from like the inside of whatever this is, you were kind of like waiting for someone to come and like break down the bricks for you and save you and pull you out. You got to a point where you're like, I'm no longer waiting for someone or something to come save me. I'm going to tap into my own power. And when you did that, it was melting these boundaries away. And from that space, now, like, you're seeing the other people that are walking, not the same path, but like a similar path, that have gone through similar experiences, that are connected to you in this, again, I'm soul tribe, like, that's what I'm hearing. And you're like, oh, wait, I see you. But this card is actually leading me to talk a little bit more about, like the visions, the imagery, the metaphors that I was getting along with the other downloads. I've been seeing like a person in a deep, dark forest, like, yeah, just like basically giving me the imagery of like the dark night of the soul. You know, that part in your journey where it's like dark and it's confusing, and there's like, that's the spiritual awakening, even though you thought it was going to be all rainbows and butterflies, but like it got intense, right? There's like the self-discovery and the shadow work and the healing and like all the difficult dark kind of things that kind of you have to move through on the journey. But you know, there was always a light there. There were always specks of light to help to guide you, but it overall was a difficult time in the journey, right? And again, back to this, I think that you're like realizing your power, and you're going to be able to manifest the things that are going to make your life easier. And I think there's help coming through here with community again. But basically, what I was seeing was being in that deep, dark forest, exploring it, not really being able to find your way out. And I've been seeing, like, kind of nearing the end of that darkness, right? There's, like, in the distance, light peeking through the break in the trees, and you're like, oh yes, there's my way out. And it's like journeying to get to that point, and kind of for a while I was seeing like 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of thing. But what I see is like you coming out, and there's like a big meadow, right, or a big field, or just there's the sun is there, and there's wildflowers, and it's beautiful, and all of this stuff. And you're able to look back and be like, I did that. I went through that journey. I ventured through the forest, and I survived, and I'm out on the other side. And I'm actually seeing that there are, this is going to tap into purpose here in a second, but it's like there's been people waiting for you in a way in that meadow, right? They're like waiting, and they don't know what they're waiting for really, but they're like spiritually like just kind of lingering in that general area energetically. And it's like you come out, and again you're like, yeah, I went through that journey, whatever. And it's kind of like back to purpose. There's like purpose in the journey that you took. And I think that a part of your purpose moving forward is to help other people in some sort of way move through their forest, right? You've done it. You know how it works. You know, like, you know how it is. And there are people that have never ventured through the forest. There are people that haven't been through the dark night of the soul. And I'm not necessarily saying, like, everybody and anybody, I don't know, maybe, but like, I'm not saying everybody and anybody is going to go through like this major dark night of the soul awakening. Is it possible? I don't know, maybe. But like, even just on a smaller scale, not everybody necessarily is going to have a catastrophic, life-changing and life-altering, like, dark night of the soul necessarily, but you have made your way through that, and there's something that you've learned within that space that is valuable to other people. And I think moving forward is like going to be your position. It's like you went through this journey alone, and not alone, you have your connection with God, the divine spirit, your spirit guides, whatever, right? You've had like a supernatural guide and connection through the journey. But when it comes to actually having a physical person or a mentor or like someone like physically there to like guide you through these things or help to assist you, I don't think you've had that. And I think that was very intentional. When like we talk about like our soul's blueprint, like it was never in your blueprint to have that. You were supposed to have a major spiritual awakening to develop that relationship with spirit, with the non-physical, in some sort of unique way, so that you can step into that role yourself, if that makes sense, where other people aren't designed to. They just aren't. Other people would not survive, quite literally, the journey that you've been on, because they weren't designed to do it alone or do it without a mentor. Like if you think about shadow work and, the forest kind of representing the dark night of the soul, or like that self-discovery, but like the darker aspects, shadow work again, it's like not just, like, there are certain people that have the survival skills, right, to be able to go venture off into the forest and survive. Where there's other people who simply don't have the skill set or the ability or do not feel safe enough to venture off into the forest alone in the dark and be able to survive. They wouldn't be able to. They'd get a certain amount in and then run back out. So I'm almost seeing like you went all the way through alone. I say alone in quotes because, again, you were never really alone, but physically speaking, like, I don't think you've had, you may have felt guided by certain people at a distance, right, where the divine can use them, but there was never you never sought that out, and you weren't supposed to. And again, it's because you had to go through that process. I'm hearing like initiation. You had to, or, when you're learning a skill or getting a certification in something, or, for career or whatever, like, you learn the knowledge, and then you have however many hours of real life experience. You have been alone, and it's been happening in the spirit, like this initiation or this time of gaining experience with your own self, of understanding these things, where that was your experience that you were gaining. Does that make sense? Where, like, now it's like, okay, well, you learned it, you have the knowledge, and now you are able to assist others because you might not be seeing yourself in that way right now, but it's like you have earned that position in some sort of way, because you've gone through it. I don't know entirely what that means. I don't know whether I'm gonna get any more clarity on that, but it's like, I don't know. I'm getting some sort of like healing, some sort of assistance, some sort of, based on the things you've been through, you're able to provide a thing, a service, a product, a something to offer to others that is going to assist them or help them as they are trying to explore their own forest, right? Do their own self-discovery, spiritual awakening, whatever journey. Like, there's something that you are able to create or offer in a way that's going to assist others. And it was designed that way. It really was. And again, back to the beginning where I was talking about sound. There's a lot of different possibilities with whatever this is. But I was getting a lot with sound. So it could be something using your voice. It could be speaking. It could be music. It could be, I don't know, something, again, I'm getting heavily with the voice, like your physical voice, but it could also be, if not the physical voice, like writing something, using your voice in that way, creating something, art, whatever. Like, there's something that is being born from the experience that you've had. Yeah, and so we have growing pains here, healing, patience, unconscious. That's reminding me a lot of what I was just talking about, where it's like that deep, dark forest. You've been doing that shadow work, that bringing to light the things that are unconscious within you, and in the darkness, right? To heal it. And it's been a long journey. You needed patience. It's been painful. We have here flower child, momentum, creativity, and action. I hope over everyone else you learn to make yourself proud. Yeah, there's, and that ties actually back into this, where is it? What we were talking about, where it was like, feeling like you couldn't be yourself fully, like you were required. There's something here where it's like you are required to, and that's why, like, there's some sort of blockage here, blocking your abundance and your ability to connect to others, because you have to be yourself in order to create whatever this is. Like, And there's that that external influence of some sort that's like not trying to make other people, like not trying to please other people, not caring about other people. We do care about other people, right? That's kind of what I'm saying here, is like we care for others and we want to help others. But when there's this attachment here, there's this like toxic kind of something over here. I don't really know what that is. It's like that becomes the blockage, honestly. And like, is that saying to just cut off anybody and everybody that like you're like, are you the one that's like causing me problems? No. But it's something to consider moving forward. We do have when worlds collide, so again, that speaks to what I was just saying, that like there's a heavy importance on our connections right now, our relationships right now, where it's like, is this relationship, when my energy and this energy like collides, how is it affecting me? How is it affecting me? Because there's again, going back, there's that kind of more, again, I'm trying not to use the word toxic, but there's some kind of not beneficial energy relationship back there that is, again, causing the blockage, making you feel some sort of shame, causing a lot of heartache and pain. But then there's like this community here, soul mate, soul tribe, soul something, like, that's like when these energies collide, like it's a completely different experience. Okay? And just taking note of that, really being mindful of our energy in the connections that we're forming and developing. You can barely see it, but like right under here, it's like skeleton, like death. And then up here, it's like there's life, there's flowers, there's little bees, whatever. So really pay attention to like what connections make you feel, I'm hearing like dead inside, like versus the ones that like give life, that like spark life in some kind of way. There's like an energy here about like, oh, okay, there's like something about creative energy and destructive energy coming through, just like the two sides of the coin, where it's like, and on the bigger picture kind of thing, stepping away from the topic of like relationships specifically, it's like, I think that with this journey, the spiritual awakening and everything, it's like, I think that you've been through a lot of like tower moments. There's been a lot of destruction happening. There's been a lot of death. There's been a lot of like just a destructive force, like tower moments, like shaking everything up and like ripping stuff down in your life, right? And it's like, all right, we did that part, and now it's time to rebuild. Now it's time to create. Now it's time to, from that soil of destruction, of the tower moments, will grow a new life. And that goes back to this manifestation image that I got. Okay, I'm trying to get some like final advice real quick. I am getting that like in the areas where, or like whenever you feel that you're lacking strength in some sort of way, it's okay to lean on other people if they're a part of like this community, like, if you know what I mean. Like there are certain people that can offer you strength when you're lacking strength, that can fill in the gaps kind of where you are unable to meet, if that makes sense. But at the same time, there is this need to, again, be cautious of those that we are kind of connecting to. There might be areas where we need to set a little bit more boundaries, because there are some kind of like steal it, like I'm getting energy vampire kind of thing, or just, yeah, there is a caution here, but there's also a hope. There is like just really be conscious of your relationships, which ones, just really tap into how they make you feel, is what I'm getting. Which ones make you feel calm, feel seen, feel connected, and which ones, like, there's some kind of deceptive energy here, or sneaky energy, or, yeah, there's just something there. There are some, like, relationships where it's like I'm getting the bare minimum, some relationships where it's like I just want to isolate myself and seclude myself because intuitively, like, I'm sensing there's some sort of weird energy going on. And at the same time, like, there's an ending here to that. There's an ending to, if you've been feeling isolated, there's an ending to that because there's this community coming in. There's an ending to just receiving the bare minimum. So, yeah, I think that's it for this reading.